The first miracle served as the catalyst for the formation of Custodia's religion, and with it came the construction of an enormous church called the Mother of Mothers. At the head of the church was the papal figure of Custodia, known as His Holiness Escribar, the individual with the sacred responsibility of translating the will of the grievous miracle to the masses. Under his spiritual guidance, the pious were to learn from the example of the Twisted One and seek penance and suffering to attain the miracle's favor and blessings. However, it seemed Escribar was displeased with his flock, and believed they had deviated from the path of righteousness. As such, His Holiness Escribar turned his throne to the congregation in a symbolic act that represented the miracle's abandonment of the people, and thus the age of the turned throne began. In time, his prayers were answered, and the miracle manifested itself within his very flesh. His arms turned to branches, his skin turned to bark, his blood to sap, and before long he towered over Custodia as a gigantic tree. The tree was set ablaze by the other inhabitants of the cathedral and burned for a period of 90 days. The final embers cooled, and the cinders were no more. But due to the massive size of the tree, when all had settled, a gargantuan mountain of ash formed. At the pinnacle sat the empty throne, silently welcoming the bishops and parishioners to claim it. Hordes of ambitious religious zealots stormed the throne room and attempted to scale the mountain, but none succeeded. Instead, they were consumed by the ashes and forever changed into the punished, beast full of rage and faith, eager to carry out the sadistic will of the grievous miracle. His Holiness Escribar underwent a transformation of his own and became the self-proclaimed last son of the miracle, a crimson-red papal figure adorned with abundant gold. In his blind faith, he would serve the deities known as the High Wills and help sustain their eternal twilight reign. Interestingly enough, Viridiana referred to His Holiness Escribar's claims to be the last son of the miracle as slanderous, alluding to the fact that Escribar never truly had a pure objective interpretation of the miracle, but rather one that benefited his station and power to ever-growing heights. Quite literally. Escribar's weapon of choice was a gaudy blade of pure gold, fitted with numerous jewels. It's important to note that the Cradle of Affliction, which was the coveted final relic the penitent one sought to obtain on his pilgrimage, never made an appearance. Remember that the cradle was essentially a sacred grail that contained the golden fluid that seeped from the Twisted One's forehead in life and in death. This is pure speculation, however. I believe that His Holiness Escribar may have repurposed the gold that had been collected over the years and fashioned himself a weapon fit for the miracle's mouthpiece. This could possibly explain the mysterious absence of the Cradle of Affliction despite its numerous references throughout the penitent one's journey. In his true form, His Holiness Escribar donned a massive set of robes and guarded his face with a decorative plating, representing his coveted role as a papal figure. He also wore a glass pendant around his neck that may very well have contained his original body before he was touched by the miracle, and his numerous arms, reminiscent of deities from Hinduism, represented his supreme power, immense strength, and his ability to oversee and carry out multiple acts at once. Even his crimson skin was steeped in the roots of Catholicism, as the color red represents blood, and therefore his alleged martyrdom. It would seem His Holiness Escribar was the very incarnation of religion and the hypocrisy it often manifests. After an intense battle with the penitent one, the two continued their epic encounter in a place higher reaching than the skies, known as the Path of Eternal Processions. It was here that we learned His Holiness Escribar was nothing more than a glorified watchdog, subservient to the High Wills, a power he likely was incapable of understanding, as he sought nothing more than to play the role of a holy man favored by the gods. Sadly, this truth was revealed to him moments after he gazed into the blinding lights on the other side of the dream. But even in his last moments, he stubbornly believed he would be forever remembered in death. With one swift strike, His Holiness Escribar was no more. His corporeal form, as well as the institution he represented, was split asunder, and the puppeteers behind the grievous miracle were silenced, freeing the pious people of Custodia to ever-imaginative horrors. And that's all for this video. Until next time, it's the Inhuman One, signing out.